What is going on, POSimulator? This is Chimpact, and I am bringing you guys a 5th gen OU battle between the users Stunt and Bluestar, and this battle occurred on the Smogon Wi-Fi ladder while they were both laddering, and this battle occurred before Deoxys was banned, so that's why you see it on Bluestar's team. And anyways, let's get on with the battle. Stunt is actually going to decide to lead out with his tentacle because he sees that Bluestar does have Deoxys on his team and he doesn't want any hazards on his team, because a hail team that has hazards on its side of the field is not going to be very effective, while Bluestar is actually going to lead out with Latios. Fearing the Psyshock or the Draco Meteor, Stunt is actually going to switch out and go out into his Scizor, who is able to take both attacks pretty effectively, but he does miss the Draco Meteor. And now he's going to switch out into his Rotom, thinking that he might carry the HP Fire and he wants to scat off for that, but he goes for the Draco Meteor again, fearing the pursuit, I guess. And Rotom Wash is one killed by the Draco Meteor, so that tells him that it is actually a Specs variant of Latios. So Scizor is going to want to go for the pursuit because a Specs Latios is a big threat to this team, but that is going to force Scizor to be locked into a pretty weak move that is going to give Bluestar an opportunity to set up with his Terrakion, and since it is floating on a balloon, that is going to be a setup Terrakion. So Stunt is forced to switch out because he's locked into Pursuit and he doesn't want to give Terrakion a justified boost with Pursuit. So Terrakion does go for the Swords Dance just to boost up, and something is going to get 1-hit KO'd by a Stone Edge, and Stunt just sacrifices his Tentacruel because maybe Stone Edge would miss and he would be able to get off a Skull Burn or something like that. It was highly unlikely, but he had to bank on something. So now he's going to go for the U-turn over the Bullet Punch, knowing that Terrakion is going to be very important to Bluestar's team and he doesn't want to lose it this early in the game. And luckily for him, it does work out. If he stayed in with Terrakion, it would have been game over from there. He would have got 5-0'd. So knowing that chandelure is going to be very effective against the Scizor with Flamethrower, he's going to set up a sub as he brings out a Tyranitar who's able to resist both of chandelure's status, but fortunately for Stunt, he does carry the HP fighting, and that's going to do a good amount of damage to Tyranitar. It has over 400 special attack, and that's 4 times super effective HP fighting. So Bluestar is going to opt to go for the attacking move over the Stealth Rock, perhaps because he doesn't have the Stealth Rock, or maybe he just wants to get rid of the sub. Stunt is actually going to decide to go for the substitute again, maybe thinking that Bluestar doesn't want to lose his Tyranitar this early in the game and lose the Weather War already. So he did set up another sub, and luckily for him, Bluestar did switch out into his Deoxys. He does go for the Psycho Boost, gets a crit on the sub, which is kind of funny, and Stunt is able to fire off a super effective Shadow Ball, and that's easily going to be able to take out the Deoxys. And now it's pretty much a 4-4 game, but chandelure is vulnerable to pretty much any attack, and he does bring out a Terrakion. So Stunt is forced to switch out, and he's going to want to switch out into his Scizor, who is able to take a Stone Edge, and if he does decide to go for the Swords Dance, which would be kind of foolish because it would give Scizor a free opportunity to go for the Bullet Punch, but he does go for the Stone Edge, which is a good move on his part. And Stunt isn't gonna play any more games, he's just gonna decide to go for the Bullet Punch. Going for a U-turn would be way too risky at this point in the game because close combat would easily KO. And now he's gonna switch out and go out into his Bomb Snow, knowing that it can take pretty much any hit from a jellicent, and Bluestar knows that. And he knows that Scizor is forced to switch out because it is locked into Bullet Punch, and he does decide to go out into his Tyranitar. And luckily for him, he does get that 50% chance to have his weather up instead of Stunt because of that double switch. And Stunt does know that his Abomasnow is faster because it took that HP fighting from chandelure, and he does go for the Wood Hammer, but Bluestar does switch out into his Scizor, who does 4 times resist the Wood Hammer. Stunt goes for Protect to see what type of Scizor this is, and most Scizors are banded, but he just wants to see if it's set up or not. If it was a setup Scizor and he did go for the Bullet Punch or Swords Dance, that would have been very bad for Stunt. So now he's going to switch out, go out into his Scizor, who would be able to take a Bullet Punch, and he does have speed EVs to outspeed most Scizor, but unfortunately for him, he does double switch and goes out into his Jellicent, who will be able to take on Scizor really well. And Scizor does decide to go for the U-turn, and he U-turns out into Abomasnow again, while Bluestar goes for the Scald with his Jellicent to try to get the burn, maybe thinking that his Jellicent will be able to outspeed or at least burn the Abomasnow on the switch, but it doesn't, fortunately for Stunt, and he's able to fire off a Wood Hammer on whatever. He could predict to switch into a Scizor, but that's not the case. He does decide to go for the Wood Hammer, and since Tyranitar did come in, he brought out the Sand Stream, so the sand is up, and now Bluestar does bring out his Scizor, and Stunt is kind of backed up into a corner because if he stays in, Abomasnow is going to die, and if he switches out, then one of his Pokemon is going to take a good amount of damage from a Bullet Punch, and it won't be able to KO his Scizor, and he really needs the 3 Pokemon on his team to take on the rest of Blue Star's team. He's forced to stay in and sacrifices his Bombstone and lose the Weather War. But it's no big deal because it's only going to help his Terrakion with the Sandstorm boost. So he does switch out into Mamoswine, who is able to take the Bullet Punch from the Scizor because he does have a Sash and fire off an Earthquake back, but unfortunately he doesn't KO. But luckily for him, he does carry that Ice Shard, and that is going to be able to take out the Scizor. And now it's 3-on-2, very, very close game. So Blue Star does go out into his Terrakion because if he went out to Jellicent, it wouldn't be able to take an Earthquake that well. And Mamoswine is just going to go for the Ice Shard, just as the last-ditch effort, as Terrakion does finish it off with a close combat. So now it's 2-on-2, very, very close game, and now it's just a 50-50 prediction on both sides. If Scizor decides to go for the Bullet Punch on his Terrakion, and Terrakion stays in, then Stunt has a very high chance of winning. But if Scizor goes for the Bullet Punch and he switches out and goes out into his Jellicent, then it's pretty much game over for Stunt. But there's also the situation with U-turn. If Stunt decides to go for the U-turn and Terrakion stays in, then Terrakion is going to outspeed and finish off the Scizor with close combat or Stone Edge. And if Stunt decides to go for the U-turn and Jellicent switches in, then Stunt has a very high chance of winning, and I'll leave an explanation of that in the comments below because it's very long and very confusing. But anyways, what really happens is that Blue Star does decide to stay in, and Scizor does go for the Bullet Punch. So Terrakion is gone, but Blue Star still has a chance to win because Jellicent is able to take a Shadow Ball from a Chandelure. So Scizor is going to want to weaken the Jellicent enough to where a Shadow Ball is going to be able to take out the Jellicent, and he hopes that a Scald will be able to take out his Scizor. But it does only 30%, and with the burn, it's still not going to be able to take it out. So Stun is going to be forced to switch out, and he's going to want to go out into his Chandelure because Scizor does still carry that Pursuit, and a Pursuit might be able to take it out after a Shadow Ball. So Blue Star does go for the Recover, and that's going to put him out of range to where a Shadow Ball is going to KO from a Chandelure because Jellicent has great special defense. So as you can see right here, a Shadow Ball is not going to be enough to finish off the Jellicent, and the Scald is easily going to be able to take out the Chandelure because Chandelure doesn't have the greatest HP stat. It does have good special defense, but not the greatest HP stat, and that was at 50%. So now he's hoping that a Scizor's Pursuit is going to be able to take out a Jellicent that isn't switching out, and thanks to the extra power from Technician and the Choice Band, it is going to be able to take it out. So Stunt wins the game with a close 1-0, 3% burn Scizor. So that was a really close game. Hope you guys enjoyed the battle. Definitely give it a like if you did enjoy, and if you guys enjoyed my commentary, feel free to check out my channel as well, and I will see you guys later. Peace.